Okay, let's rewind the clock. Let's get in our DeLorean and go back 7 days, because you may have remembered that MJF performed a roll-up, the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, on that episode of Dynamite. I just did a little quote tweet going, my man, to say well done for using said most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and he retaliated to me on Twitter, and he wasn't very nice. So here, on today's Ups and Downs, I am going to teach you a lovely lesson about how you then respond to bullies like this. So can I have a drum roll? Thank you very much. My top secret t-shirt, what you do is, you put the tweet on a t-shirt and then you turn around and you embrace it. 100% cue ball. I am like Shorty G. Let's up those downs for AEW Dynamite on a damn boat. I do have to say, I absolutely love having AEW Dynamite on a flipping boat. Like, as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is really fun. Look at the crazy set. It doesn't feel like anything I've seen before other than WCW Nitro. And I don't actually think they ever put Nitro on a boat, but they used to do those Bash at the Beach things where there would be a pool, and we're going to talk about pools later. I just think more wrestling companies should do this. It got me excited like a 4-year-old boy who had just been told he is allowed to have some birthday cake, and it's not even his damn birthday. That's kind of how I felt when the first match begun as well, because it was SCU, the tag team champions, defending their belts against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. So we were not mucking around. We want those darn ratings. And it is getting it up. I was popping like a massive nerd when they first started off, because when Scorpio Sky and Kenny Omega eventually got in the ring, they were doing drop-down tackle spots, and that's the kind of thing you first learn when you go to wrestling school. So I was like, oh, I know this. What an absolute mark I am. Although, you know, I got no problem with being a mark. Sometimes I get that on Twitter. Simon, you're such a mark. Of course I'm a mark. Not only do I stand here and talk about wrestling every week, I decided to go and be a wrestler. It's like wrestling just threw up on me. I don't even care. That didn't last long because, of course, soon we were going absolutely nuts. I mean, at one point, Hangman Page just got dropped straight on his head. And I guess it was a brain buster, so you have to live up to the name. And even after Kenny had gone to hit Sky with the one-winged angel, he got out of the way and he busted out a Frankensteiner. This triggered Hangman, get it? Triggered, because he's a cowboy, don't worry about it. And he went to hit the buckshot lariat on Scorpio Sky, but honestly, these two, he went straight into Kenny Omega. There is no connection here. It's like Brock Lesnar and regular wrestling dates. It ain't happening. I'm not surprised that did go down either, because minutes before this, Hangman Page had just launched himself into Kazarian, and because we were on the damn boat, there was no real room between the ring and the crowd, so these two just went right into the audience. And I guess because of the fans they did have here, just like super jacked and super excited, they couldn't have given two hoots. They loved the fact they were being a part of the action, and they probably even started licking the sweat off their heads. It was disgusting. It didn't actually happen. This, however, was a historical night in All Elite Wrestling, or at least I think so. If I'm wrong, I'm going to get killed. That's fine. I had a good run because we did see a title change, and I do think it's the first title change we have ever seen. But after SCU had hit the SCU later on Omega, Hangman decided he had seen enough, and he went absolutely crazy. I mean, he powerbombed Kazarian, then he was hitting the buckshot lariat on Scorpio Sky on the ramp, and then he got back in the ring. He hit another buckshot lariat onto old Kaz, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Pretty much clean as a whistle. The Young Bucks came out to celebrate afterwards, and I got a little bit geeky here, because I was like, well, you shouldn't be that happy, because you two should want these titles as well, but it didn't matter, because I loved what we did here. Simply put, Kenny Omega and Matt and Nick were like, yeah, we're the tag team champions, and Hangman Page ignored them and decided to go get drunk instead and crowd surf his way out of the makeshift arena. This slow build for Hangman Page is the best thing in All Elite Wrestling, hands down. I really did enjoy this, and maybe in hindsight, SCU's title reign wasn't as good as we all had hoped, but putting the championship belts on Kenny Omega and Hangman Page just helps that storyline, because now you're like, well, wait a minute, if Hangman is going to turn into a bad guy, what does that mean for these titles? I love asking these questions. As I've already established, I'm a massive nerd. I love asking these questions, and I look forward to them being answered. Britt Baker versus Priscilla Presley was also very interesting, and not even because of the match they had. I mean, Priscilla Presley in general, man, she's gonna draw attention to say the least, but it is getting it up. They did have a fight though, and it was fine. With Britt Baker, I kind of think she's flourishing in front of her eyes as we do see her get better week in, week out. And here she kept going after the lockjaw, eventually got it in. Priscilla had to tap out, but the dentist had used the ropes for leverage, which makes you raise an eyebrow. Afterwards too, she got on the mic because she was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and there's no two ways about it now. We are absolutely turning Britt Baker heel because she insulted old Tone for working in Starbucks after he left WCW. And I just couldn't believe this. Sometimes it's the simplest things that get a reaction. I was like, don't you talk to Tony Schiavone like that. Everybody needs a job. Stop being a dick. And this is where all my intrigue thoughts come from. Because yeah, why have we decided to turn Britt Baker into a bad guy? Now, the reason they get a little bit of a free pass is because the women's division is still a little bit all over the place. We haven't really defined anybody's roles. And I did think I thought she did quite well with this, to be honest. I think there's something more here than when she was a babyface. And like I say, I want to see where it's going to go. We just need to drag everything together a little bit with the women and not just have crazy random matches every week. This was interesting. We went to town with this as well because Baker continued on this rant until AEW just cut to a commercial. She has become Super Bad Guy 9000. The Inner Circle versus the Jurassic Express was fine too. It was just a nice little 6-man tag team match that went, don't you love wrestling, rosy cheeks? Sorry, no, my man is involved. You have to forgive me. Wind it back. Dino up. Stunt Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus were in control until Jericho decided he'd had enough of this and he took over. And all you really need to know is that our Jurassic friends probably would have won if it wasn't for that absolute Poindexter, Jake Hager. He got involved, causing Luchasaurus to brawl all the way to the back, and given that the Express had now lost their big man, they were always going to be in trouble. However, before we did get there, fair play to one Christopher Jericho III, because he couldn't have done more to make Marco Stunt look like a threat here. Not only did he hit a 450 that got a damn near close 2 count, but then he kept rolling him up, and at one point I was like, are we actually going to let Marco Stunt beat Le Champion? Obviously I was wrong. Jericho again got bored and just pop, smashed him with the Judas effect and got the 1, 2, 3. But like I say, the ending sequence, it did get you on your toes. And that makes perfect sense. Your top heel group in the company should be winning matches like this, especially when the real-life dinosaur has been taken out of proceedings. They all celebrated with a little bit of the bubbly afterwards, and like I say, it was just a short, entertaining romp on a damn boat. And then we do get to my friend MJF, and kind of hilariously, I have now started to see pockets of the internet turning on him because apparently he doesn't do enough as a heel. Are you kidding me? This is the whole die as a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain nonsense. But he just keeps things so simple. Like he was facing off against Joey Janela here, and they pretended they were going to shake hands. And do you know what old Max did? He just went and he spat right in Joey's face. And again, that's not the most genius thing I've ever seen a bad guy do in wrestling, but it still made me go, that is absolutely horrid. What a disgusting man. So he is an asshole, especially because again, he called me Q-Boy, but don't forget, I remind you, 100% Q-Ball, me and Shorty G smashing it up in this house. However, when it does come to the match between Joey Janela and MJF, well, I am giving it a down. And that's not because of the action in the ring or anything they did. The finish just made me go, oh, I don't need to see this kind of stuff anymore, because Joey Janela was made to look like an absolute nerd. He climbed up to the top rope and he was ready to hit an elbow drop onto MJF, but then Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford came out and started to kiss for an uncomfortable amount of time. I mean, this was the most WWE thing ever. And he was so shocked by this, he just stared at them like, you don't care about these people anymore, Joey Janela. I know you're in a feud with Kip, but that's your ex-girlfriend. You should be like, I don't care. I want to win a wrestling match. And of course, he then went for his elbow. He left it too long. MJF moves, hit the double cross, and MJF got the pinfall. Joey Janela, here's my point, right? What AEW probably should have done in this instance is actually had Kip Sabian come down to the ring and punched him in the face or done a move. Distract the ref somehow. At least then we could have had a bit of sympathy for Mr. Joey instead of, dude, you gotta get over your old partner. It got great after this though, because AEW decided to use their spangly set, and I love it when promotions do this. I don't know why, I'm a very strange person. But Cody Rhodes came out to confront his new enemy, and MJF was like, you can't touch me, Cody Rhodes. It's part of our stipulations. And the American Nightmare simply said, no, I can't, but these two can. It was the Young Bucks, and they threw Maxwell Jacob Friedman into the pool. I don't know why that's entertaining. It always will be entertaining. Again, it's just very, very simple storytelling, and it's getting it up. And this slow burn for Hangman Page continues to rock as well. I know I've already gushed over it, but I'm gonna gush over it again because they were backstage being interviewed, and Kenny Omega kind of got a little bit too excited about his potential rematch with Pac. And as you know, AEW's been teasing that. He was like, look, while I've got this title, it is more important to me than anything, even cheese, but I know you're out there, you bastard, and eventually we shall have a fight. And then Matt and Nick Jackson were back to celebrate, and I was like, look, dudes, you're kind of stealing these guys' thunder. You gotta back off. And clearly Page was irked by this too, because he simply said, you know what, Matt? You know what, Nick? I'm surprised that I have won this tag team title before you guys did. And I tell you, the Jacksons look absolutely devastated. I think this is damn wonderful. Well done, AEW. You are proving your worth. It's just excellent, it's subtle, it's nuanced, it's got depth, and it ties in to what acting is all about. This is dramatic irony. We can see what's going to happen before the performers can. That always works. Amazingly, it was our main event after this, and I tell you, Dynamite really does feel like a breeze to watch. 120 minutes is the optimum length for a wrestling show. Chris Jericho, Le Champion, was back out to do commentary because, of course, it was the #1 contenders match between Pac and Jon Moxley. It is getting it up. As you've likely guessed, Pac, being a bastard, went straight after Moxley's eye, which was covered up with a bandage. I was slightly disappointed it wasn't an eye patch, given they were on a boat and he could have been Pirate Jon Moxley, but I understand. But fair play to Mr. John, because if you have been looking at social media over the last few days, he was even wearing this when he was just walking around on Jericho's Cruise. Who said kayfabe was dead? Well, Jim Cornette. But he gets mad about a lot of things. And really, all of this came down to the Black Arrow, or Pac's failure to connect with it, because he went for it once and Jon Moxley got his knees up, so he destroyed Pac's ribs, and then he went for it again, and this time he completely missed it like an absolute jabroni. And I may be getting this wrong, but in my head, Pac hasn't missed that move much in All Elite Wrestling, so you knew the bad times were coming. This pissed Pac off something fierce, and he tried to lock the brutalizer in on Jon Moxley, but he wasn't having it, so Pac just went, all right, fine, and he ripped the bandage off Jon Moxley's eye. I was hoping there was going to be like worms in there and all kinds of horrible stuff. Then I remembered I wasn't actually watching a pirate movie, I just wanted it to be a pirate movie, so I slapped myself around the face. Finish was nice and simple too. After Pac had absolutely whooped Moxley's ass for a while, he managed to smash out a DDT, then he got to his feet, he hit the paradigm shift, which, by the way, Pac took wonderfully. Go and watch it. The way he extends his legs, absolutely fantastic. He nailed that. He got the pinfall, which means officially, at Revolution, the upcoming pay-per-view, it is Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley for the championship. I also just want to point out, Pac is genuinely ludicrous. There was one point when he did this like double drop kick off the top and just landed on his back and then popped up. And then fair play to Moxley, he hit him with a damn good clothesline. It was like poetry in motion. Jericho stared down Moxley to end the show, and the coolest thing about this, cool is not the right word, is that although the match quality wasn't up to the usual snuff, given they were on a boat and they had to sort of work with the ring they had, the angles for my money were more or less exactly what you would have wanted, which means Dynamite is on the direction to powerful glory. I don't know what that means. It feels like we're building something that always makes me pleased, and something I should have mentioned that I didn't is you do have to give a pat on the back to the fans. Like when Chris Jericho was coming out for his 6-man tag team match, everybody was singing his theme song, and not even mega heel Chris Jericho could hide this in his face. I mean, he was just smiling. You could see how proud he was, and somehow that resonates through the TV screen. I felt all warm and fuzzy inside, and I was like, I just love wrestling. What an absolute loser I really am. But give me my spinning arrow, give this an up, 100% cue ball, signing off. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's AEW Dynamite. Double thumbs up for all those people that are already going, fine, you're so biased. Even though I absolutely love Raw at the moment as well. Don't let that get in the way of your crazy arguments. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling. You just go click. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Read some articles at WhatCulture.com. And watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is 100% Cue Ball. Thank you very much for joining me as always. You can also call me Mr. Ups and Downs. If you are into ups and downs, the next time I will see you is Saturday when we up those downs. for Smacker Down.